When I finally made up my mind to give everything up and leave this city behind, the woman who once said she would spend the rest of her life with me knew nothing of it because she was busy passionately entangled with the man she had always loved from afar. I stared at the candle on the table, its flame nearing the end, slowly closed my eyes, and made a wish. Starting today, I would leave Xiaolongnu, leave her forever. Early the next morning, I received a call from Renqi. Along with the secretary, your resignation has already been approved by Director Liu. But he didn't notice who the person resigning was. Should I remind him? Renqi's voice came from the other end of the line. I lowered my gaze and said softly, "No need. Let it be this way. But you've been Director Liu's secretary for 4 years. He was most satisfied with you and relied on you the most. You're really not going to reconsider resigning." Renqi tried to persuade me with all his heart, but I only gave a faint smile. No one in this world is truly irreplaceable, and my parents' health is not good. I'm also busy going back home for blind dates and marriage. Since Director Liu approved the resignation, then I'll follow the procedure and hand over my duties. I'll leave after working for 1 more month. Sorry for the trouble. After hanging up the call, I continued sorting through my belongings. I had lived in this villa for 3 years. I had neither too many nor too few things, except for the essentials. I threw everything else away. As I looked at the room gradually emptying out, I found myself dazed for a moment. Countless memories surged up like a tide. 8 years ago, I, a young man from a small town, got accepted into Jing University and became close brothers with Liu Yuanfeng, the eldest son of a powerful family in Jingbai. We came from completely different worlds, yet somehow hit it off effortlessly. Attending class, eating meals, playing ball, we were always together every day. And slowly, I found myself stepping into his world, meeting his family, and falling for his sister, Xiaolongnu. But I kept those feelings buried deep inside. After graduation, Liu Yuanfeng went abroad for further studies. I stayed behind and became Xiaolongnu's secretary, just so I could see her often, till that one accident happened. Xiaolongnu was startled and bitten by someone. I had just rushed her to the hospital out of concern, but she clung tightly to me and showered me with an overwhelming wave of kisses. After a night of passion, I woke to find her sitting by the window, her delicate profile cast in the hazy light, silent and alone. When she heard movement, she turned back to me. "Do you like me?" Instinctively, I wanted to deny it, but she looked calm as she continued. "You blush every time you see me. You remember every one of my preferences. And you rushed to be my secretary the moment you graduated. Don't tell me all of that was just a coincidence." She said it word by word, and my face burned completely. In the midst of that dead silence, she suddenly handed me a card. "Last night was an accident. I have someone I love. I won't return your feelings, and I won't ask you to take responsibility. I heard from Yuanfeng that your family is ordinary. The money on this card is enough for you to live comfortably for the rest of your life. Forget everything that happened." It was only then that I remembered. Last night, she kept calling out King Yu. In Liu Yuanfeng's words, King Yu was Xiaolongnu's first love. She loved him so deeply that even after he broke up with her and went abroad, continuing to send her kisses from afar, she still insisted on waiting for his return. So this was it. I gathered my courage and called out to Xiaolongnu, who was about to leave. "I don't want money. I just want you to give me a chance. Director Liu, please try being with me once. If he doesn't come back, or if he does but you still haven't let him go, then on that day, I will walk away on my own." Faced with the love in my eyes, Xiaolongnu froze for a few seconds, then left behind just one line, "As you wish," and walked away. From that moment on, by day, I was her secretary. By night, I was her private lover. We left behind scenes of madness. In the office, in the Maybach, and against the floor-to-ceiling windows of her villa. For years past, no one knew about our relationship, and I accepted it all willingly. Until a few days ago on her birthday, I had prepared many surprises and waited for her past midnight. But she never showed up. What I got instead was a post on her moments. Xiaolongnu, who had never shared anything online before, posted a photo of herself kissing King Yu beneath a sky full of fireworks. The moment I saw that photo, all color drained from my face, and a sharp pain gripped my chest. Clinging to a last shred of hope, I called her. But the one who answered was King Yu. Hello? Who is this person who doesn't even say anything when calling? A moment later, King Yu's indifferent voice came through. Just someone unimportant. Don't mind it, let's go back to sleep. That was when I knew it was time for me to leave. I packed my things and prepared to go, but ran into Xiaolongnu at the door. When she saw me carrying my things, her eyes turned cold and unreadable. But she didn't try to stop me. Have you found a place? Yeah, the same old rented apartment. But the landlord only agreed to rent it for 1 month. Hearing that, Xiaolongnu frowned slightly. Just 1 month, why? I was about to explain, but she seemed utterly uninterested. Let me take you there, she said calmly. I wanted to refuse, but she insisted. The snow is heavy and it's already late. If something happens to you, Yuan Feng will be heartbroken. So I had no choice but to get in the car. Once upon a time, we had done countless foolish things in this very car, but now I barely recognized her anymore. The car was filled with model sports cars. A soft blanket lay across the back seat. There were even stylish LED light strips glowing inside. I found it hard to imagine that someone like her, so decisive and cold, would turn her car into something like this. Perhaps noticing my stare, Xiaolongnu explained. King Yu likes these things. I understood instantly. After a long silence, I said in a low voice, you finally got him back. Directly, I'm happy for you. She hadn't expected me to say that. Her eyes trembled slightly, but she said nothing more. Halfway through the drive, King Yu called. He said he wanted to build a snowman with her. She pulled over immediately, clearly eager to go to him. But when she looked at me sitting beside her, she hesitated. I knew what was on her mind, so I took the initiative to open the door. Director Liu, I'll just get a cab back. As if in a daze, she didn't reply. She got out to help me with my things. My hand slipped, and the suitcase fell to the ground. She bent down, and in the glow of the street lamp, she saw the scattered contents. Love letters I had written to her but never sent, all bearing her name. Secret photos I had taken of her, and the little things she had carelessly thrown away, which I had picked up and treasured. My heart clenched violently. I scrambled to gather everything. I'm sorry, Xiaolongnu said nothing. She got back in the car alone and sped away. I stood alone in the snow for a long time, but couldn't get a cab. So I decided to walk home, hugging my suitcase. But I was hit by an electric scooter. A deep gash over 20 centimeters long tore open on my calf. Blood spilled across the snow. I watched the vehicle vanish into the distance. Gritting my teeth against the pain, I lay in the snow for a long time, unable to get up. Once the pain had passed, I limped for 4 hours on foot, till I finally returned to the rented apartment. After tending to my wounds, I turned on my phone and saw a message Liu Ryan had sent after she left. Don't ever love someone so wholeheartedly again. There are plenty of women in the world. Don't hang yourself on just one tree. I stared at that message for a very, very long time. At dawn, I lit a fire downstairs and burned that entire box of belongings. The love that had burned inside me for 8 years turned to ashes along with the flames. Liu Ryan, I will grant your wish. I took 2 days off over the weekend and arrived at the company on Monday right on time. I went about my work as usual, then informed Liu Ryan there would be a meeting soon. As I walked to the office, Through the gap of the half-closed door, I saw Lu Qingyu. He was holding Liu Ryan in his arms, feeding him the half-eaten cookie from his mouth. The woman who once had a cleanliness obsession smiled as she ate it, then kissed his fingers without hesitation. You said yesterday you were craving dessert from this place, so I waited in line for 3 hours this morning. Tell me, how does it taste? It tastes great. Just like before. Sweet but not cloying. You used to travel far just to buy this for me every few days. Now that you're the president of the whole group, why would you still go yourself? You could just ask a secretary. Liu Ryan gently caressed his cheek, her eyes overflowing with tenderness. When it comes to anything related to you, I only want to do it myself. I don't want anyone else's hands involved. A smile bloomed on Lu Qingyu's face. He pulled her into his arms and kissed her. She instinctively held him back, deepening the kiss, completely lost in the moment. Watching that scene unfold, my breath caught in my throat. A dull ache spread through my chest. I clenched my fists hard. My fingers turned white, and my palms were a bloody mess. Seconds ticked by. It was nearly time for the meeting. I forced myself to calm down, raised my hand and knocked on the door. Director Liu, the meeting is about to begin. The moment she heard my voice, Liu Ryan slightly stiffened. She was just about to get up, but Lu Qingyu pulled her back. I don't want you to go. Stay with me a little longer. Liu Ryan's heart melted completely. She postponed the meeting by 2 hours. This meeting was supposed to discuss a project involving cooperation among major groups in Jing City. It was crucial to the company's future. I understood its importance, yet I still couldn't help reminding her. The CEOs of Ling Group, Gu Group, and Shen Group were all already waiting in the conference room. Oh, Ryan, your secretary is really annoying. He's totally lacking in tact. Hearing Lu Qingyu's complaint, Liu Ryan's expression turned cold. I already said it's postponed by 2 hours. No work is more important than Qingyu. My chest felt tight. I was struggling to breathe. But in the end, I simply closed the door and turned to leave without a word. Everyone in our circle knew Liu Ryan was a workaholic. No matter how busy she was personally, even after surgery, she would still handle all her work while sick. And yet for the sake of one man, she risked defending key partners by delaying such a critical meeting. That had never happened before. Did she really love Lu Qingyu that much? I lowered my dim eyes, forcibly pulled myself together, and walked into the meeting room. I issued a formal apology to the board members. With such vast family empires behind them, though these CEOs clearly had opinions, none of them dared to speak out directly, so they vented all their anger on me. I was unwilling but couldn't argue back. All I could do was bow my head and accept the scolding. I endured the full 2 hours with sheer will. Only then did Liu Ryan finally show up. I dragged my numb, aching legs out of the meeting room, only to be stopped again by Lu Qingyu. So you're Gunanzi. Ryan said you make excellent coffee. Everyone in the office looks a bit tired. Go and prepare an extra cup for everyone. And mine without sugar, just ice. I already knew that. He relied on Liu Ryan's favoritism to act so boldly, holding his head high with false authority. I didn't dare disobey, so I went to the break room. It took me 2 whole hours to brew over 400 cups of coffee. I brought them out one by one. But the moment Lu Qingyu took his first sip, his expression instantly darkened. He hurled the cup at me. With a thud, the hard ceramic mug struck my forehead and split the skin. Blood ran down as if it were ink bleeding on paper. I let out a muffled groan. My face twisted in pain. Clutching the wound, I collapsed to the floor. But Lu Qingyu wasn't finished yet. He picked up cup after cup of coffee and continued to throw them at me. My entire body was pelted over and over. From that moment on, shards of broken ceramic left deep gashes across my skin. Brown coffee soaked me from head to toe. Blood mixed with the liquid and dripped onto the floor. All I could do was curl up and shield my head and chest. The office fell into a suffocating silence. No one dared to step forward to stop him. Everyone stayed far away, watching Liu Qingyu rage. The noise soon drew Liu Ryan out. She looked over the chaotic scene before her and saw me lying there, bruised and blooded. Her brows knitted tightly together. "What happened?" she asked, looking at Liu Qingyu. He immediately put on a pitiful expression. "Ryan, I just asked your secretary to make me a coffee." My stomach was hurting and he still added ice to it. I almost had a spasm from it. Seeing the redness in his eyes, Liu Ryan's face darkened at once. "You've been with me for 4 years, and you still can't get something this simple right? Or are you holding a grudge against Qingyu and doing this on purpose?" I raised my pale face, wanting to explain myself, but she didn't give me the chance to speak. She immediately called over her assistant, Gu Nanzi, violation of company policy, dock this month's salary and the quarterly bonus, and issue a company-wide notice. He'll make a public apology at next week's meeting. With that, Liu Ryan left with Liu Qingyu by her side, watching her figure grow smaller in the distance. The tears I had held back for so long finally fell. I forced myself to stand up, enduring the pain as I fetched a broom and mop, and began cleaning the shattered cups and spilled coffee. A few kind coworkers came over to help, their eyes filled with sympathy as they looked at me. I clearly heard that rich brat say, "No sugar, just ice." How could he turn it around and blame you? Did you offend him somehow, Nancy? Do I even need to offend him? I've heard plenty of people say, he's just always moody and overbearing. Even the slightest displeasure will set him off. Lots of people in our circle can't stand him. But because Director Liu spoils him, no one dares cross him. Sigh, I've never seen Director Liu care for anyone this much. Be careful from now on, Nancy. We're just ordinary people after all. I could never compare to young masters like them. He still had Director Liu as his backing. Even if I was truly wronged, all I could do was become the scapegoat. I knew they meant well, but hearing those words, my emotions were in complete turmoil. I couldn't say a single word. There was a contract I handled once that had issues. The fault was with the client's company, yet they placed all the blame on me. Faced with their accusations and pressure, Liu Ryan firmly believed I wasn't at fault. She argued on my behalf, and finally cleared my name. But now Liu Qingyu lies without hesitation. She doesn't even bother to verify the truth, nor does she give me the chance to explain. She just places all the blame on me. I've worked diligently and cautiously, handled so many problems for her. And in the end, I don't even have that bit of trust. Or is it that in her heart, right and wrong no longer matter? As long as Liu Qingyu is happy, that thought filled me with bitter sorrow. The pain cut deep into my chest. It took me a long time to clean up everything. Dragging my exhausted body, I finally went home. Just as I finished washing up, Liu Ryan called again. "Bring some medicine and heating pads over." I gathered everything as quickly as I could and delivered it to her villa. We hadn't seen each other for a couple of days. Even that clean and elegant villa I remembered had changed since the peach trees planted by her father were dug out and replaced with cheap tulips that cost just $1. The black and white furniture in the room had all been switched to suit Liu Ryan's taste. Even though she always hated pastel pink tones, the display shelves were filled with jewels. The car keys on the table were clearly picked in Liu Qingyu's favorite style. I quietly took in everything around me. I walked to the bedroom with its light still on and gently knocked on the door. A moment later, Liu Ryan opened the door and took the things from me. Only then did she look up and glance at me. After I'd washed the coffee off, the injuries on my face looked even more shocking, and she froze for a moment when she saw them. "You're hurt this badly. Did you go to the hospital?" I shook my head in silence. She sighed under her breath. Her tone, unusually, was soft. He wasn't feeling well. He didn't mean to take it out on you. Don't take it too hard. As for the pay I docked, it will be added to your year-end bonus. Go to the hospital later and have it looked at. If it's serious, take a few days off to rest. I've already approved your leave. No need to go through procedures. There's no need. I'll be leaving at the end of this month anyway. I wanted to tell her I was about to resign, but she didn't let me finish. She handed me a card and interrupted my words. Just do as I say. I still need your help organizing a welcome party for King Yu. Get some proper rest and take care of yourself. All the words I never got to say got stuck in my throat like a stone. I gave a low hum of acknowledgement, took the card and left the villa. Just as the door closed behind me, I heard Lu Qingyu's voice. Ryan, has the warm pack not arrived yet? I want you to come warm me up. I'll be right there, just lie still. Don't move around. Hearing his voice so gentle like water, I let out a silent smile, and my eyes filled with self-mockery. After leaving the villa, I went to the hospital. After getting briefly treated, I rested at home for a few days, then received the banquet proposal from the assistant, from the choice of flowers to the dessert preparation, and even the servers' uniforms. Everything had the strictest requirements, and I only had 3 days to prepare. I could only force myself to focus and start preparing. After working tirelessly for a long time, the banquet began promptly at 7 p.m. Lu Qingyu appeared in a custom-tailored suit. He entered under the gaze of the entire crowd. Guests quickly gathered to flatter him. It's been years since we last met. Young Master Lu still looks as wealthy and radiant as ever. He truly shone with brilliance. Even a simple welcome party was held with such grandeur. It seems Director Liu's love for you really hasn't changed at all. I remember back when we were in school, someone confessed to King Yu. Once Director Liu found out, he forced that person to transfer. Every love letter that came in, he tore it up one by one. If anyone whispered rumors behind their backs, he'd go teach them a lesson and beat them so badly they ended up with broken bones. Everyone in the circle knew King Yu was Director Liu's first love and the jewel of his heart, his most treasured one. Look at that set of jewelry on King Yu. It must be worth tens of millions. And that dress is custom made too. There's only one like it in the entire world. Director Liu has never spared any expense just to make King Yu happy. I stood not far away, listening quietly, saying nothing at all. Lu Qingyu strutted over proudly and looked at me with blatant disdain. The banquet you arranged wasn't bad, but there are some minor issues. There's no carpet in the main hall. My shoes got dirty because of it. To make up for this mistake, you can help me wipe them clean. I lowered my head, speaking calmly and respectfully. Please wait a moment, we have carpets backstage. I'll have someone lay them down right away. Seeing that I dared to refuse, Lu Qingyu's expression darkened instantly. Just then, Liu Ryan walked in and noticed his displeasure. She immediately came over with concern. What's wrong, Ryan? I didn't want to dirty my shoes, so I asked your secretary to clean them for me. But he refused. Is he still holding a grudge over what happened last time? When Lu Qingyu said that, Liu Ryan looked at me with cold eyes. It's just wiping a pair of shoes. That's part of your job anyway. You've been a secretary long enough. Can't even handle such a trivial task. The surrounding guests began murmuring, their tones filled with sarcasm. My eyes darkened slightly. I swallowed the humiliation, bent down, and used my sleeve to wipe Lu Qingyu's shoes clean. He then pulled Liu Ryan along and wandered upstairs and down, deliberately making things difficult for me. His custom-made shoes had delicate material and collected dust with every few steps. My back was aching and numb from all the bending, but I had no choice but to endure it. Lu Qingyu still wasn't satisfied. He called for more alcohol to be brought over, then crooked a finger at me. I don't feel like drinking today, but it'd be rude to refuse my friend's kindness. So you drink all this for me. You drink it instead. I'm allergic to alcohol. Just as I was about to explain, Liu Qingyu acted all innocent. Liu Ryan knew about my alcohol allergy too. But just to please Liu Qingyu, she agreed on my behalf. Don't you always carry allergy meds with you? Take them and then drink. It shouldn't be a big deal. His tone left no room for refusal, and it crushed my heart completely. My face went a shade paler. Soon, a crowd approached with glasses of wine. I picked up a glass and downed it. Silently, I pulled out my meds, swallowed a few pills. Soon another group came over with wine for a toast. I raised my glass again and drank one cup after another. My stomach churned violently, and I couldn't stop myself from wanting to throw up. My head was spinning and heavy, as if I had grown used to wandering the chaos of the world. My vision blurred beyond recognition, and the whole room seemed to spin with me. In the midst of this daze, I heard Liu Qingyu call out to Ryan, "The cufflink you gave me is missing. Only your secretary came close to me just now." It must have been him who stole it with dirty hands. Hearing such groundless slander, I snapped back to awareness for a brief moment. "Director Liu, it wasn't me." Liu Ryan looked at Liu Qingyu's reddened eyes, then glanced at my drunken, wretched state. His face grew more serious. "There were too many people and too much chaos just now. Maybe it just got lost. Let's search the area first." But Liu Qingyu wouldn't let it go. He yanked his hand free from Liu Ryan's grip. "If not him, then who else could it be? Because that cufflink was your gift. That's why I care so much. Yet you still want to protect him. If you won't search him right now, then don't ever come looking for me again." With that, he stormed off in anger. Liu Ryan quickly stopped him and coldly called for the bodyguards. The next second, several bodyguards pinned me to the ground and began tearing at my clothes. My mind exploded in a thunderclap. I struggled with all my strength, but I was no match for their brute force. My shirt was ripped to shreds. My shoes were yanked off too. My skin was scratched red and raw, streaked with traces of blood. A flood of humiliation surged through me. I couldn't help but cry out for help. It wasn't me, I swear, I didn't do it. But my protest only earned me even rougher treatment. Liu Ryan couldn't bear to watch any longer, and was just about to stop them when a few waiters rushed over. They had found the cufflink. It had fallen on the staircase. In an instant, every eye in the hall turned toward them, and the dazzling diamond cufflink in their hands, sparkling with blinding light. Liu Ryan's furrowed brow finally eased. He waved a hand, signaling the bodyguards to step back, then picked up the cufflink and personally helped Liu Qingyu put it on. His tone softened a little. "The cufflink's found now. Don't stay mad, alright." Liu Qingyu finally nodded in satisfaction. He glanced at me, sprawled on the floor in utter disgrace, then leaned on Liu Ryan's shoulder. "Good thing we found it. Or I would have been upset for a long time. But your secretary suffered so much because of this misunderstanding. Should I apologize to him?" All at once, every gaze landed on me, on my disheveled, half-dressed self, buried under wave after wave of agony. I heard Liu Ryan's cold, indifferent voice. "There's no need to apologize. He's just a secretary. A little grievance is no big deal." Those plain words cut into my chest like a dagger, grinding flesh and blood into ruin. My heart, already full of wounds, felt like it was being ripped apart, leaving me drowning in unbearable pain. My head buzzed incessantly, and all that remained inside was a numb, hollow void. At some point, everyone in the hall had left. Only the glaring lights remained, illuminating every wound on my body. I endured the pain and got up slowly, picked up the jacket a kind waiter had tossed beside me, put it on and staggered out of the building. Outside, a torrential rain was pouring down. I walked into it without a second thought. The cold rain pelted my face like needles, dripping down one drop at a time, so much like tears. But I had no more tears left to cry. I had no idea where I was headed, wandering aimlessly through the streets. Before long, a car pulled up beside me. The window rolled down. It was Liu Ryan's cool and strikingly beautiful face that appeared. "Get in the car," he said, but I acted as if I hadn't heard a word. Dragging my weary body, I trudged forward through the rain. His voice, tinged with the sourness of jealousy, grew sharper. "Get in the car," he repeated, more forcefully this time. I stopped in my tracks, lifting my face, pale and drained of all color. I told him, "You don't need to care about me, Director Liu, I'm just a secretary, nothing more." The coldness in my tone made Liu Ryan's heart tremble violently. He opened the car door and walked over to me through the rain, gripping my hand tightly. "About tonight. I didn't handle it well enough, but I've already lost you once. I can't lose you a second time, whatever humiliation you've suffered. I'll find a way to make it up to you. Please don't push me away because of this." But this time, I didn't give in. I summoned all my strength to pull free from his grasp and stepped back a few paces. My voice was as calm and still as deep water. "Director Liu, you must be joking. How could someone like me dare hold a grudge against people as noble as you and young Master Liu? I was too naive and ridiculous before to have forgotten my place. From now on, I will always remember that I'm just a secretary, and I'll never interfere in your life again. Are you satisfied now? Will you let me go?" The more I said this, the angrier Liu Ryan became. His face darkened. His emotions spiraled out of control. Full well, that's not what I meant. I've never looked down on you. Those words were just to calm you down. In my heart, you and the distant future. I didn't hear a single word he said after that. His voice blurred into silence. The scene before me grew more and more distorted. My eyelids felt like lead weights dragging me down. All the strength had drained from my body, and then unexpectedly I lost consciousness. I don't know how long passed. When everything started again, I found myself in a hospital. Someone had changed out the floor. There were medicines and a cup of warm water by the bed. A nurse was adjusting the drip. She smiled kindly when she saw me wake. "You're awake. Your girlfriend stayed with you all night. She just left a little while ago." I parted my cracked lips, my voice hoarse and dry. "She's not my girlfriend. She never was. Liu Ryan and I were always a mistake from the beginning. Other than being his secretary, he never acknowledged anything more. Once I used to dream of a future, but now I just want to snap myself out of it and leave for good." I stayed in the hospital for a few more days. Liu Ryan didn't visit. He only had his assistant message me to rest and recover. When I had fully healed, I returned to work. Business in the company group chat was lively as ever. Everyone was talking about Liu Ryan and Lu Qingyu. He had rented out Disneyland for a whole week to celebrate his birthday. Fireworks lit up the skies for 3 nights straight, and he brought him to the family banquet. Even gave him the jade pendant traditionally passed down to sons-in-law. He bought land to build a private ski resort and named it after Lu Qingyu. I looked at those messages and felt absolutely nothing. After being discharged, I went back to work as usual, approaching every task with flawless precision. When it came to anything involving Liu Ryan, I would ask someone else to handle it. The office stayed unusually quiet for an entire week, until Liu Ryan called again. I had just delivered a document and was about to leave, but he stopped me. "I'm heading to a meeting. Qingyu doesn't like eating alone. Stay here and keep him company." My expression stiffened. I was just about to refuse, but Lu Qingyu spoke first. "I want to try it. You wrap one for me first." Liu Ryan closed the study door behind him. I could only walk over to the dining table and peel a whole plate of shrimp. then attend to the black carp. She even had someone bring over a large plate of walnuts and jackfruit. I said I wanted some fruit after the meal, but there were no tools here. She told me to do it with my bare hands. Staring at the hard walnut shells and the jackfruit's sharp thorns, my heart sank. I knew Lu Qingyu was deliberately tormenting me, but I had no choice but to comply. After peeling the walnuts and tearing open the jackfruit, my hands were covered in blood. Lu Qingyu still wouldn't let me go. She forced me into the kitchen to bring out the soup. The freshly boiled soup scalded my hands bright red. The pain made it impossible to squat steadily. My hand slipped and the soup spilled all over me. The steam burned fiercely. Within seconds, blisters began to rise on my hands. A searing, fiery pain. I bit my lip hard to suppress the trembling of my body in pain. When she saw me fall, Lu Qingyu seemed unfazed. The next second, the study door was flung open. He immediately put away the box. I heard Liu Yan say you were capable. So why couldn't you even carry a bowl of soup without spilling it? You even burned my hand. Liu Yan grew instantly nervous. She rushed over in big strides and asked where I was burned. Let me see quickly, does it hurt? Lu Qingyu raised her reddened hand and said there were only a few drops, not sure if it would leave a scar. How could you be so careless? Qingyu was pampered since she was little. She's never been hurt at all. Yet you managed to scald her just by carrying soup. Couldn't you have kept a little more distance? Liu Yan's face darkened. She scolded me with a few words, but when she saw the injuries on me, she couldn't bring herself to say anything too harsh. She could only pull Lu Qingyu away to treat her wounds. Before leaving, he saw me still frozen in place, and Chen Sheng called out to me, telling me to go to the hospital too, so we could get treated together. I endured the pain and followed them into the car. All the way, Liu Yan drove quickly. Lu Qingyu now and then mumbled incoherently. He was so distressed he could barely speak. After a while, he turned to look at him, his attention distracted. He didn't see the sports car speeding toward us. With a bang, the two cars collided. Under the forceful impact, my body slammed against the car door. My internal organs felt like they were crushed by a giant hammer. Blood gushed out, dyeing my world in vivid crimson. I shivered with cold, barely managing to open my eyes, and saw Liu Yan dragging Lu Qingyu out of the car. The sound of an ambulance came from the distance. In a daze, I heard two urgent voices. This gentleman just fainted from shock, but the one in the back seat is bleeding heavily and gravely injured. If not sent to the hospital in time, his life could be in danger. No, we must send Lu Qingyu to the hospital first. I could not let anything happen to her. Nothing else mattered more than her safety. The bewildered anger was the last sound I heard before losing consciousness. The boundless darkness completely devoured me. I felt like I had a long and terrible dream. When I woke, I opened my eyes and saw Liu Yan's eyes filled with bloodshot veins. Feng Nanzi, I had just returned to the country when I heard you were hospitalized from an accident. The doctor said you had massive blood loss. You almost didn't make it. I was scared to death. Seeing him made all my repressed emotions surge out. I couldn't hold back the tears. Don't be afraid, I'm all right. The two of us sat in silence for a long time. Liu Yan finally poured me a glass of water and watched me finish it. Then, remembering the doctor's advice, he started chatting about lighter topics. Have you been happy living in the country these past few years? Did my sister ever give you a hard time? Weren't you dating someone now? He asked when I would introduce her to him. He said he had to thoroughly check her out. If she treated me badly, he wouldn't approve of us being together. I kept a calm expression on my face. I told him the CEO had never bullied my girlfriend. We had already broken up. I said fate was strange, never expected it to end so quickly. He seemed afraid I would be heartbroken and didn't forget to offer comfort. He said it was fine, that the old saying was true. If it's goodbye, then goodbye. The next one will be even more obedient. He claimed to know many stunning beauties and promised to introduce them all to me. Before he finished speaking, the door to the ward was pushed open. Xiaoyan walked in with a stern face. She demanded to know what he was introducing and forbade any introductions. She said all the women he knew were just for fun, and not a single one was suitable. Hearing her flat-out rejection, Yanfeng instantly pouted. He asked what nonsense she was spouting and begged her not to speak so carelessly. He said the girl had only dated 2 or 3 guys, and not everyone was as deeply attached as she was, so obsessed with Lu Qingyu like she was hanging from his tree. He argued that he was just helping his brother find a girlfriend, and asked how she could even be against that. Hearing those words, a fire lit in Xiaoyan's eyes despite her effort to hold it back. She declared that if she said no introductions, then there would be none. Love couldn't be forced, and she told him not to play matchmaker carelessly. He agreed, saying love could not be forced. I smiled silently at that, then gently pulled Yanfeng's hand and looked at him calmly. I said he was just joking, then turned to Xiaoyan and asked what brought her here. Seeing I was unharmed, Xiaoyan finally let out a sigh of relief. At first, she wanted to say she came to see me, but the words caught in her throat, and she changed her tone. She said it was nothing really. She heard something had happened to Yanfeng, and came straight to the hospital after getting off the plane. She said she came to take him home, and just happened to check in on me too. Yanfeng waved her off, promising he'd be home tonight, and told her to leave first. Then Xiaoyan ordered firmly that since I had been so badly hurt, she would not allow me to be given any work. After saying that, she kicked him out, leaving just the 2 of us brothers in the room. Yanfeng spoke up again, singing praises of Xiaoyan. He told me not to be fooled by her fierceness, because she was really good to me. He said yesterday, when I was hanging by a thread, she personally managed the blood transfer that saved me. I was stunned hearing that. But after a moment, I composed myself again. I said she only did all that because she didn't want me to die. But if one of us between Lu Qingyu and me had to die, then it would always be me. So I no longer held any hope for her. In the final days of this lifetime, I continued to recover in the hospital. And during the nurses' rounds, they would often mention the VIP room upstairs. Rumor had it the president of the Liu group had rented the entire floor, and even invited several retired professors from the Jin family, all just to take care of her boyfriend. I'd seen it myself a few times. She personally served her boyfriend tea and water, bought countless gifts to make him smile, and stayed by his bedside without sleep through the nights. They said it was true love. I quietly listened to the gossip, then raised my hand to touch my chest. There was no feeling left, just a faint, slow heartbeat. It seemed the wound in my heart was finally starting to heal. On the day of my discharge, Yanfeng had originally planned to pick me up, but got tied down with family matters. I reassured him with a few words, then left the hospital on my own and returned to the company. It was my last day at work. I completed the resignation process as per the rules, then carried my box and prepared to leave. I ran into Lu Qingyu right at the elevator entrance. She was holding a cup of coffee in her hand. She deliberately bumped into me. "Can't you watch where you're going? You've dirtied my clothes completely." Again and again. "You're doing this on purpose, aren't you?" She directed and performed this whole farce herself. Then she called the bodyguards and told them to force me to kneel at the company entrance and apologize. I refused to yield, but she became even more aggressive. She splashed the rest of the coffee onto my face. "What are you looking at? Are you not convinced? Let me tell you something. In Liu Ryan's heart, there's only me. No matter what I do, she always take my side. Let alone punishing a lowly secretary like you." She strutted about with arrogance And after saying all that, she left with a face full of pride. The bodyguards dragged me down the building and forced me to kneel on the ground. I kept struggling, but I couldn't break free no matter how hard I tried. So I could only try to reason with them. I've already resigned. I'm no longer Liu Ryan's secretary. What right do you have to force me to kneel? The bodyguards showed no reaction. Their tone was cold as ice. President Liu already gave instructions, and young Master Liu's wishes are her wishes too. No matter what requests I make, they have to be fulfilled. Secretary Gu, save your words for President Liu. With just a few words, they completely silenced me before I could finish. I realized that no matter how much I said, they wouldn't listen. So I gave up struggling. Colleagues and passers-by came and went, glancing at me. All of them whispered behind my back. Some were even taking pictures. In the bitter cold of winter, I knelt outside for a full 7 hours. The skin on my knees was torn open. My face turned purple from the cold, and I kept shivering uncontrollably. I held on with nothing but sheer willpower. Just before work ended, my mind began to go hazy. Suddenly, I heard someone calling my name. I forced myself to lift my head and saw Yu Yuanfeng rushing to my side. You just got discharged from the hospital. Why are you kneeling here? Who's doing this to you on purpose? With a dry throat, I instinctively whispered Liu Qingyu's name. As soon as he heard that, Liu Yuanfeng's eyes burned with rage. He helped me up and stormed into Liu Ryan's office. Liu Qingyu, you've gone too far. Nanzi didn't do anything to offend you. Why would you make him kneel? He's my sister's secretary. He has nothing to do with you. What kind of act are you putting on here? Liu Ryan was inside too. When she saw how disheveled I looked, her brow furrowed. She was just about to ask what happened, but Liu Qingyu suddenly wrapped her arms around his waist. Ryan, I didn't do it. I have no grudge against Secretary Gu. Why would I suddenly punish him like that? I don't even know how I offended him. And now he's slandering me like this. Hearing Liu Qingyu shift the blame, Liu Yuanfeng was furious. He charged forward and punched Liu Qingyu in the face. Your lying Nanzi never tells lies. For the first time in his life, Liu Qingyu was humiliated like this, and he immediately burst into tears. Ryan, your secretary is such a bully. And now even your brother is helping him bully me. You're all one family. We're breaking up. The moment she said that, Liu Ryan's expression turned pale. Then she stood up with a cold face and clapped her hands. She slapped Liu Yuanfeng across the face. Enough, Liu Yuanfeng. How long are you going to keep making a scene? Qingyu is your brother-in-law. Then she turned to me with an icy glare. Why did you cause trouble for no reason? If Qingyu does this again, you don't need to stay here anymore. Liu Yuanfeng held his face in silence. I looked at my sister with a face full of shock. I deeply regretted dragging him into this mess. I hurriedly pulled him away. Yu Yuanfeng was seething with anger inside. He still wanted to go back and argue on my behalf. I had no choice but to tell him that I had already resigned and that I planned to leave this life behind. When he heard that I was leaving, Liu Yuanfeng felt both reluctant and sad. He couldn't even bother to go pick a fight anymore. He held onto me and kept asking questions. He asked if I could just not leave. I simply patted his shoulder and repeated the old truth that all gatherings must come to an end. Liu Yuanfeng's eyes instantly turned red. On the last day of this life, the two of us went out for a meal together, full of endless sighs and emotions. That night, Liu Yuanfeng didn't go home either. He stayed in my tiny rental room, drinking with me. I solemnly promised him that even after returning home, I would contact him every day. And if I ever found someone I liked through a blind date, he would be the first to know. We talked the whole night through, covering everything from the past to the future. When dawn broke, he personally took me to the airport. We reluctantly said goodbye. Just then, a message from my confidant Liu Ryan arrived. She was asking where Liu Yuanfeng was. He was still resentful about what had happened the night before. He was about to call her and curse her out. I quickly stopped him. Let it go, Yuanfeng. Let the past stay in the past. From now on, don't act impulsively because of me and Lu Qing anymore. After all, your sister truly loves him. He'll be your brother-in-law in the future. You two should get along. Hearing that, Liu Yuanfeng's eyes turned red again. Soon it was time to board. I waved goodbye to Liu Yuanfeng and turned to walk into the boarding gate. Right before getting on the plane, I sent one last message to Liu Ryan. 8 years of secret love, 4 years of recklessness. Everything ends here. President Liu, from this day on, I am no longer your secretary, and I no longer have feelings for you. We each return to our own sea of people. There's no need for us to meet again in this life. After sending it, I didn't care what the reply would be. I immediately blocked all his contact information, and without looking back, I stepped onto the plane. At the moment that message was sent, Liu Ryan was drying her hair. She heard the sound of her phone and was just about to pick it up, but Lu Qingyu beat her to it. I'll check it for you. He waved the phone, smiling brightly. Liu Ryan couldn't do anything about him, so she smiled and said fine. Her phone had long been set with Lu Qingyu's fingerprint access. The man casually opened my chat window and saw that message. A flash of disdain crossed his eyes. He moved his fingers and deleted the message. On the first day he came back, he had already learned about everything between Liu Ryan and me. In his eyes, it was nothing more than a one-sided infatuation on my part. Everyone knew Liu Ryan was a devoted lover, loving him to the core. There was no way she would fall for someone else. After deleting that message, he also noticed quite a few work emails from partners. He deleted those too. Just then Liu Ryan finished drying her hair. The woman came over with the scent of body wash and wrapped her arms around him. What was the message? Lu Qingyu turned around and held Liu Ryan tightly, casually tossing the phone aside. Just some spam. Don't mind it. Shall we continue? He smiled, pressing his warm body close to Liu Ryan. The woman, moved by emotion, nodded in agreement. I ignored my phone completely. I carried Lu Qingyu to the bed in my arms. We spent a night tangled in passion. When I woke up, Liu Ryan was still asleep. Suddenly, my phone rang loudly. At first, I had no intention of answering it, but the ringtone kept going. It was so persistent that I couldn't ignore it any longer. There was no work scheduled for today. I looked at the woman curled in my arms, then picked up my phone, lowering my voice to avoid waking her. My face was filled with helplessness. What's the matter? Today is the weekend. There shouldn't be any work arrangements. It was my other assistant on the line. Her tone was flustered and anxious. She said the partner had emailed me yesterday, and today they were coming in for a meeting. They had already arrived at the office. Director Liu and the others were waiting for me. When did this happen? I never received any email. Liu Ryan immediately shook off her sleepiness. She sat up and started getting dressed in a hurry. A deep frown formed on her face. How could something this important reach everyone but not me? What the hell have I been doing? If the company suffers a major loss, can I really take responsibility for it? Tell him to come pick me up right away. He probably thought I was still angry, so he avoided disturbing me with work. But the assistant on the other end froze for a moment and cautiously said, Director Liu's assistant Gu has already resigned. That one sentence struck me like thunder in my head. Liu Ryan clutched the phone tightly. When did this happen? Did I ever approve his resignation? Tell him to come back immediately until I give permission. He's not allowed to resign. At that moment, I could no longer care about Lu Qingyu in bed. Lu shouted while speaking. How would I dare to resign over such trivial matters? He clearly accused me of invading his privacy, but he was the most important person in my life. Whatever grievances he suffered, he promised to make it up to me someday. Yet I left without saying a word. The woman's eyes turned dark, obviously furious beyond measure. The secretary on the line was trembling in fear, too afraid to say anything more. Just as my patience was wearing thin, a strong arm wrapped around my waist. "What's wrong, Ryan?" It was Liu Qingyu, looking like she had just been woken up. Seeing her, Liu Ryan couldn't help softening her voice. "You don't need to worry about work matters. Go back to sleep." But I had already decided to go to the company, no matter what. I couldn't afford to offend the business partner, but Liu Qingyu held onto me tightly without letting go. "Sleep with me a bit longer. It's still early. Ryan, don't leave me, please." Her tender words melted my heart. I thought back to what had happened last night. I let Liu Qingyu pull me into her arms. She wanted to hold me close, so I lay back down beside her and coaxed her to sleep peacefully. Another half-hour passed like that. By then, my phone was flooded with calls from the secretary. I replied to the messages quietly in the dark. "Move today's meeting to the afternoon for me." The secretary quickly responded, "Director Liu, they've already left." And the contract fell through. My heart sank at that moment, but looking at the person sleeping in my arms, I felt it was all still worth it. A faint smile curled on my lips, then quickly faded again. I recalled something strange the secretary had said. Liu Ryan tapped into the fragrance inbox. There were no new emails. Then I remembered Liu Qingyu had checked my phone last night. With a bit of hope, I opened the trash folder, and my face turned pale. Those damn women! The trash folder had visitors. There were several emails from the business partner, all sent exactly last night when I hadn't had a chance to check my phone. And the only person who touched my phone last night was Liu Qingyu. A cold suspicion stirred in my heart. How could Liu Qingyu know nothing, yet still take it upon herself to delete my work messages? Losing that deal would cost the company at least 10 million in profit. And today was such an important meeting, since I didn't inform him. In the past, even if the email had been sent once, I would have had everything prepared in the morning. If it weren't for me throwing a little tantrum this time, how could we possibly have lost the business partner? He dialed my number, wanting to question me, but no one answered. No matter how many times he called, it was always the same automated tone. A wave of panic suddenly hit his chest. Something came to his mind. He opened the recycle bin and looked again. And there, he clearly saw the message I had sent him. It was from last night. He clicked to restore it. The message popped up, stinging his eyes. 8 years of silent love. For years of madness. Everything ends here. From this moment on, Mr. Liu, I will no longer be your secretary. Nor will I love you anymore. Let us both return to the sea of people. There's no need for us to meet again in this life. For some reason, seeing that message, he should have felt relieved. I finally no longer loved him. Just like he said, I would no longer hang myself on his tree. But when he truly faced the news of my departure, his chest was suddenly overwhelmed by a suffocating feeling, as if he had lost something incredibly important. He couldn't help but recall everything between us. For years ago, an accident. We ended up in bed together. Back then, his heart was full of only Xiaoru. He just wanted to send off his brother's friend with money. He never thought of starting anything with me. But my eyes were bright and cautious, like a little animal. When he couldn't bring himself to reject me cruelly, he could only let it all happen. We acted recklessly in so many places, leaving traces of each other everywhere. In those 4 years, I was his best secretary, and also his most devoted admirer, never asking for anything, just silently bearing everything he took from me. Even if I had no name, no status, just following him was enough. In her heart, Xiaoru had thought it countless times. I really was a fool. Just a little bit of kindness. And I gave him my everything. He told me not to dream of a future with him, that he would only ever belong to Xiaoru alone. Now that he finally shook off this little tale, why then? Did he not feel as happy as he imagined? He stared at that message for a long time. In the end, he let it go. If I was gone, then so be it. This was the path meant for both of us. He put down the phone, stopped looking at it, and peacefully held Xiaoru back to sleep. To suppress the discomfort in his chest, he postponed his work again for several days, accompanying Xiaoru out to have fun. No matter if she fancied jewelry or luxury cars, he bought them all without hesitation. But the more he did this, the more uneasy he felt inside. A restless agitation lingered between his brows. Xiaoru didn't notice it at all. She was fully immersed in the joy of traveling. While waiting for him, Xiaoru couldn't help but take out her phone. She opened the chat with me. Our last conversation had stopped a month ago. Ever since Xiaoru returned, he had never contacted me again. A sudden urge stirred in his heart. He slowly typed out a message and sent it. You can come back anytime and continue being my secretary. This supposed way to save face was greeted by a glaring, red exclamation mark. Something outside my world that he could no longer reach. For the first time in all these years, I had blocked him. Xiaoru's hands trembled a little, staring hard at the screen. Until Xiaoru returned, she said, Yuan, thank you for waiting.